The new historical drama series, Those About to Die, is situated in Rome 79 after Christ and revolves around the old emperor Vespasian, his rivaling two sons Titus and Domitian, a new chariot faction led by Tenax, some kind of crime lord who has a weak heart for homeless children like he once was, Carla, an African mother, her two daughters brought to slavery, and her son Kwame sent to fight as a gladiator into the arena, as well as rivaling noblemen trying to take the power of either the emperor or the other chariot factions. It's 10 episodes of approximately 53 minutes without credits, making this about 9 hours of runtime in total on a budget of $140 million. The series starts very rushed and a lot of characters are introduced very quickly with scenes that want to get the action going instead of giving them time to breathe or introduce properly. The dialogues are straight in your face and the action as well. Then a riot breaks out in Rome because there is no bread. The people run around in the city, but the emperor decides to start the chariot races out of term, and immediately drums are played and the riot breaks down because everyone wants to go to the circus. That's a little bit too much, and especially the first chariot race is so hard copying the 1959 legendary Ben-Hur classic, even in the look of the stadium, the perspective, the details, whole scenes or ideas, like no music or the guy that gets trampled, but never ever reaches the point to stand against the 75-year-old epical movie. Then the motivation of the characters are broadened, more characters get into focus, and everyone gets their own sub-story. There are 3 Hispanian horse dealers who train their horses for Terax, the owner of the upcoming new faction with a criminal past. One of them falls in love with a neighbor, a single mother, the other, for the African mom's daughter, Titus. The coming emperor marries his cousin cause his love, the Jewish princess Berenice, is not accepted, but he still cares for her. His brother wants the throne and is secretly the owner of the Golden Faction, the new one by Terax and his fellow, the best driver in Rome, Scorpus. Then shadows of the past arrive and even more people and stories unfold, and what started as a very simple setup evolves to a broader drama epic with a big cast of characters and things going on like it should. And the last sentence has to be stressed out cause exactly this was missing in The Acolyte, the series that I watched prior. And concerning the budget, it's a lot more you get compared to each other. A lot more runtime and a lot more scope. There is CGI involved massively, but also we can see real locations shot in the legendary Cinecittà in Rome. Even if they are just some stables or rooms, people and camera can move through it. You simply feel it much more than in the new Star Wars series. And the runtime is more than tripled with 40 million less in the budget. While they also have Sir Anthony Hopkins in a short guest role as the dying emperor. Of course, we already know a lot of ingredients like sex and violence from Game of Thrones and Rome, but it's not used to a maximum, so that it feels more motivated and even more shocking when it finally appears, at least the violence. As the story goes on, the more the plots are mixed, and what the beginning missed is now fulfilled better. It never gets to the depth of Rome, but is making you go on watching cause it's not standing still, and even if some things are a little bit forced sometimes or feel dumb, like when they start to collect bets besides the legal range and you already know from the start that this is a stupid thing to do, so many plots are there at one time that it's enough to stick to it, even if, as I said, nothing is so strong or thrilling that you will completely fall in love for the mastery of it. It's better than a lot of similar series today and entertaining, even one of the best works of director Roland Emmerich concerning the actor directions, who did stuff like Pompeii and, of course, Independence Day prior. I never thought he would go so much for story, since all he did before was action-related stuff. That is there, of course, but sometimes only as a smaller part, like when the volcano Vesuv breaks out, like in Pompeii, cause it's exactly this moment, but shown only on the fly, like a lot of races later on that are not fleshed out. You simply jump into them, then there are some pictures, and then they are over. I personally thought they would take more time on the screen, but they are somehow substituted by the gladiator fighting. Here, Kwame has to face the giant Flamma that is the master in the arena. Those scenes are used to introduce more Roman decadence, like when people are sacrificed to a white lion. Then it mixes with stupid stuff again, like when a whore walks around in the open streets and sees one of the Hispanics who bought her time before together with a woman and openly asks him when he will return. Like this is just plot convenience to make it harder for the characters, but illogical in every respect, since why could any whore expect a customer to come back when she did that to him? She could assume that the other woman was his wife, so why cause the trouble? Maybe she was intoxicated, but since this plot goes nowhere in the series, that moment only felt dull. And as well, like when Flamma is poisoned during a sex scene, that is much too easy and risky, leaving questions like how can Kwame's mother be there in the gladiator's room, and so on. And then you get great scenes like when she is building up her son into fighting the giant and swearing him to come back, breaking down after it immediately. That is really a moment that I did not expect in such a show. The cast does a good job, the villains are evil, the brutes are strong, the noblemen treachery, but even the good ones are not plain white knights, but have flaws. Anthony Hopkins may be used to promote the series, but he's probably only done 2 days of shooting since he's there only in some scenes, dies very early on, but returns later in a flashback. Those About to Die surprised me as being an entertaining piece of historical soap opera, as well as that they unfold that many storylines after the first 2 episodes that were a little bit too simple. It's not a must-see show that will stand out forever, but it's a fun time killer, a nice thing to watch, and especially coming from The Acolyte before. The nearly 9 hours here were much better than the maybe 3 hours of the Star Wars series that cost even 40 million more. I did not expect much, but stick to the end, so at least it got me entertained, and in this case that's the only thing that I demand. It's a drama series, I do not expect historical accuracy, but at least people were not jumping around over the world all the time in no time, and I could see a plot and enough strings that it felt thrilling enough to go on. Yes, it maybe was not out of the ordinary. Here and there too long, no doubt. You could shorten some moments, some elements were right away to be predicted, only a few are real surprises, some things were overdone, but it's there at the right time. Gladiator 2 is about to be released and the show takes itself serious, doesn't fall for easy, stupid jokes that diminish its characters, so if you are looking for an antique-based series, you can give it a try. Alas, in the end, we get the today necessary cliffhanger to go on to the next season. That's a trademark that I do not really like, stretching out everything just to get the next season sold instead of getting it done right. I don't blame the producers for that. That is, of course, something one wants to do, but for the audience, I fear that they might be willing to stretch things out forever like it was already done so many times before. Those About to Die is simply a piece of entertainment. It never wants to be more, and that is a good attitude, cause all they do here is their job to give the audience exactly this.